Do y'all think that the better team won, or was this just a bad game?
They got a cloud hanging over their head.
You execute when you're supposed to execute, and we didn't do that. They were the better team in that game.
What's up, everybody? It doesn't seem like the season should be over, but it has been for a long time actually now, and the Super Bowl is going to happen soon as well. So NFL is going to be over as well. So we're going to be
No, say it ain't so.
we're going to
Not
be
the
entering
NFL.
those doldrums of no football, which is okay. We got some baseball to tide us over, and
There's
March
hockey.
Madness.
Wait, hold up. And the Olympics
And the Olympics.
World Cup. There's
Pretty
a lot
excited
going
about
on.
the Winter Olympics are starting. So yeah, if you're a sports fan, it's going to be a fun few months. So anyways, let's start things off. Really, the only thing to report in terms of past tense games is Matt. It's official. You've won the pick'em. I don't have an applause clip, otherwise I'd be rolling it right now. But congrats, my friend. You've already been paid your dues. I hope you received those. So
I do believe that went to a very nice bottle of scotch, so we're good to go. No, I'm kidding. I didn't actually buy that. My mom's watching. I did not buy booze with money. I bought your Christmas present.
There you go.
No, I would if I can take a moment to just say that I think this was
Is this
probably
the victor's speech?
I kind of feel like I did a pretty good job of kind of catching up because for a long time through the season, like I was not anywhere sniffing close at first. So the fact that I ended up winning was
you were not in the lead until the time that it counted.
Yes, and that's really when it matters.
That's right. So yeah, cool. Congrats there. And then we got just a few things to talk about, and most of this is going to be opinion because that's really all we got to talk about right now. So let's get into an opinion segment.
Sir, if I may venture an opinion.
I'm not really interested in your opinion, 3PO.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
That might be my favorite stinger that we have. So, just great references.
The fact that that's a Star Wars reference in there doesn't have anything to do with it, Wes.
Not in the least. So, let's talk about how the SEC fared against other Power Four conferences this past season. Now, we talked a little bit about this in the last episode. We talked about the bowl record, which is a little convoluted because some of that was measured SEC teams playing each other. So we're like, well, let's get a little clarity how we measure up against other Power Four conferences. And really and truthfully, if you look at it, we're about average. Because if you look at the overall record in terms of regular season and bowl games, put those together, SEC is 13-13 against other Power Four conferences. So, what are you guys' thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, obviously, we talked about bowl records last episode and kind of hashed those out a little bit. But in terms of how we kind of measure up against other conferences, do you think this is more along the Midland, maybe not time to panic yet, but maybe we got some work to do type of thing? What do y'all think?
I don't think we can panic. I don't foresee this changing too much. I think the days of us being able to say that the SEC is the one dominant conference are probably over in the sense that there's just way more parity. We're seeing, an Indiana who had, if you would have told me in August that Indiana is winning a national championship, I would have been like, oh, you must mean like soccer or like, I don't know, an Olympic sport. No, if you would have said football, I would have laughed at you. But we are seeing conferences, schools that are able to pony up and put together very desirable NIL packages. We're seeing athletes that are starting at other schools that have unlimited transfer ability. And that's allowing places that you didn't think before, like in Indiana, to compete with other schools at a top tier level. It's also getting schools that are top tier losing their recruits. I mean, they're sure, they're getting 5-star recruits or 4-star recruits, but are they going to keep them 3 years? Likely not. The days of a student athlete staying at a university for 4 years or even 3 years for that matter are gone. I mean, you're not going to see that very often. It's going to be way more in the other direction that we see them transferring. And whether we like it or not, it doesn't really matter because that's just the way it goes. We're also seeing way more, I think, coaching carousel changes, which then causes the athletes to want to transfer. It's just this cyclical thing that I don't think is going anywhere.
Yeah, and you raise a good point about the dominance of the SEC and how perhaps we may not see. I think we may not see that type of dominance ever again,
I don't think so.
simply because of NIL, transfer portal, all just the new look of the game these days. It's really hard to dominate in that fashion and just keep the talent pooled all in your conference in your top teams in that conference. Yeah, I don't think we'll see that again. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I think Jesse pretty much nailed it on the head. I think in the new era of NIL, it's one of those things where if you've got money and you've got the backing, like you can go out and get, four-star guys, 5-star guys, these blue chip guys that, a team, no disrespect to Indiana, but a team like Indiana 10 years ago wouldn't even sniffed. Well, I say that, but we say that, but then, Mendoza, who won the Heisman and had probably one of the greatest plays in the history of college football in that national championship game, he was a 2-star coming out of college. So, those stars don't always pan out. As a Tennessee fan, I'm well aware of the situation with getting stars in our eyes and then getting a boot in our what. But again, I think that Jesse's on the nose here. I think this is one of those situations where there's so much money involved now. The NIL situation obviously has rewrote the landscape, and I think that's indicative because the SEC hasn't sniffed a national championship in 3 years at this point. It's been Big Ten all the way, and when you look at us, in contention with the other conferences, we've not fared very well. I mean, I was just looking at this pile of stuff that we got in front of us, and like we're 6-8 against the ACC. And the three of us spent most of this past season running down the ACC and about how they were a weak conference, and we didn't even have a winning record against them. Of the Power
I will
Four,
say though, remember these conferences have gotten bigger, so schools that used to not play there are now playing there. Schools that we probably would have not played ever, being an SEC school, we're now playing a little bit more because they've joined the ACC or the Big Ten. So that's another thing I think we need to keep in mind.
I'd like to say that we're undefeated against the Pac-12. I'd just like to put that out there. So
well, thank God for that, because I mean,
how embarrassing!
And that kind of plays into what I was just about to say. The only conference that we have a winning record against is in the Power Four is the Big 12 and the Pac-12, and it's like the Pac-12 is the Pac-2, and and the Big 12 is. It depends on who you're talking about, but not stellar. But the Big Ten's got our number right now. I mean, we're 3-4 against them. It's a little under 500, but still, the parity's definitely kind of brought everything down. There's no more McDonald's bags full of cash anymore. So
it's all above the table.
I mean, Nick Saban, I think he said it, and I know people got annoyed about it. I know Big Ten fans got annoyed about it, but it's kind of true. If you think about it, he was saying there is so much more parity because now with NIL, these Big Ten schools that you wouldn't necessarily want to play at. I mean, you have to play in the cold.
Right.
I don't want to. I mean, yes, Michigan's a great school, and they're always going to recruit.
Northwestern in November is not a pleasant experience.
It's not a place you want to play. It's absolutely frigid. But because you're able to pony up some cash, sure, the kid from Texas or Louisiana might be willing to go play in, 19-degree weather and snow because he's being offered a $2 million deal. It's a little bit different now. And he was saying like that allows them way more ability to get some of those recruits from, a little bit warmer climates to come up there.
It's also interesting to see each of these schools kind of figure out NIL and how to use it. And how you really just kind of need to have an anchor of a coach, like a Signetti, And then if you have kind of that piece figured out, then you can really just kind of go out and get whoever you want. And in their case, it wasn't, like you said, the flashiest players, but they were most of them veterans, lots of experience. They knew what they're doing, a solid unit of a team that can survive the test of a full season. And so it's interesting to see each year different teams figure out NIL, how to use it. And I think that's why we are seeing such parity, and why we'll continue to see different winners perhaps every year, because every year each school is like, well, hey, what about us? We can do that. Let's figure it out. And
Well, it's
they
interesting
brainstorm.
about Indiana too. You touched on it. They didn't win with the flashiest players that, entered the transfer portal, and we were all just waiting to see where they would go because we
Exactly.
knew them coming out of high school. We knew them at their original school. They went with experience over flashiness. And I think that's a really interesting recipe to keep in mind, because we no longer have those seniors that have been at a university for a really long time, are coaching up the new guys, are cementing this system. A lot of the guys are just, if they're not transferring schools, they're going to the draft. But they went with what I'm going to call substance over flash, and that might be something that other schools start to take a look at
Collectively too. But make no mistake, I mean, Mendoza is a star on that team,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
a hugely bright future ahead of him. I mean, just amazing. So,
Unfortunately, he might be going to the Raiders. Sucks.
Enjoy that.
I don't know that he's a Vegas guy, but he's about to be.
hey, at least
And
he's
guys,
got Bowers to throw to. So,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true.
And just because I was curious, I looked it up. I said, well, how much did Indiana spend last season in NIL? And according to this article that I just found on 247 Sports, shout out to them, Indiana came in at 12th, spending 13.6 million. So I mean, and then when you look at the top of the list, there's Texas, who spent, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 23 million on their NIL budget. So you can
thanks.
spend a lot of money, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you still got to have the X's and O's. And Signetti's obviously shown that there's something to be said about, not just being the big spender, but being able to kind of break that balance of being able to spend the money, but also being able to put the players in the best positions to win football games, which is
Right.
what they did this season.
And Mark Cuban has offered Mendoza the same, amount of cash that a first round draft pick would get to stay at Indiana. For those that don't realize, Mark Cuban is a grad of Indiana.
I don't know why you leave. It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, Jesse, is because I just saw today that internet sensation Mr. Beast is apparently getting involved with Eastern Carolina's
Is that where he went?
NIL. He lives in where, I don't know where Eastern Carolina is, but he lives there. And so apparently there's been some talk about potentially getting Mr. Beast involved with the NIL collective at ACU, which, I mean, that dude's got more money than God. So I don't know why they couldn't make that work.
I wonder if some of these ridiculously wealthy people view it as a challenge. They're like, I wonder if I could take this tiny school, at least in terms of college football, and just turn them into a powerhouse just with my money alone.
I can't own an NFL team, but
I
can almost own a college team.
Yeah, and right. You also got to wonder if maybe that doesn't transfer over to basketball too, because then you get like this, like the Presbyterian Blue Hose, with their $14 million NIL collective coming out of nowhere in the NCAA tournament. Like, I mean, that's very well what we could be looking at.
Schools are revamping their NIL too. I just saw Georgia is redoing their NIL from the Classic City NIL fund to the Glory initiative, or whatever it is. And I think, I don't know if it's like motivation for like fans to contribute as well, to basically be like, hey, look, you want to cheer? We'll be as good as you can make us. The more you give, the better we'll be.
Alabama has literally, I'm not even kidding, come out with, their NIL collective has come out with a whiskey, wine, all Bama alcohol. And I have successfully ignored in the past 2 weeks, probably 3 or 4 calls from the university to my phone.
Oh gosh.
Sorry, y'all.
And see, that's the slippery slope with this whole thing in my book, because Tennessee, and again, we're being a little bit of homers talking about Georgia, Tennessee, and Bama, but uh, Tennessee's been they just raised the price on season tickets for basketball, and it's like
Mm.
plus the talent fee that got thrown on the tickets this past season.
Oh, right.
Like,
Yep.
at what point do you cross that boundary of the fans are going to start pushing back and not buy into the product because you're nickel and diming them? Let's be honest here. If you don't have to go very far to figure out, oh, it's kind of expensive out there. I mean, shoot, you go to the store and get 13 things. The next thing you know, you spend $200.
Hmm.
So I mean, there's diminishing returns here, to use an economic term, and if they're not careful, and I'm not saying that they're going to do this, but if they're not careful, you could see some serious pushback from the fan bases about this stuff.
Well, it's just like anything else like that, right? When you have something like that has little to no regulation. I know they've tried to put some regulations in place, but they figure out ways around all that stuff. But whenever anything like that is going on, it just builds and builds and builds until what happens, the bubble bursts, and then things happen, and then things kind of, I don't want to say collapse, but it's not feasible to continue in that same fashion. So, but they'll push it until it's, not feasible any longer. So,
Not to mention the fact that if you have a team, and I hate to dog on Texas, but Texas spent $22 million on NIL this year, and then they got in the mix, but they didn't win no national championship. They weren't in
right.
they weren't in the CFP final. Like, they like at what point do you kind of go, okay, we're not spending that kind of money ever again because it's just not worth. There's going to be a little bit of swing back on that as well. You got to
Yeah,
worry
because
about
there's an
that.
element of especially if you gave a lot, there's an element of, well, gosh, I just
Oh yeah,
threw it away.
yeah. I
There's
bet
no
Matthew
difference
McConaughey
between
was
me donating this and flushing my money down the toilet.
right. I bet Matthew McConaughey was punching the crap out of the air after they took that loss the other day. So I mean, it's one of those things where you just kind of have to. It's a very treacherous trail, and these athletic directors have got to be very careful and not fall off of it.
Yeah. Well, Texas fans being disappointed is a great segue into our Tears Revisited segment, or our Tears Revisited section. And so what we're going to do here is we'll kind of read how we did our tiers at the beginning of the season, and then I'll get y'all's feedback on how you might change it based on how the teams finished this season. So Matt, you're first. Your favorites were Georgia and Texas.
Hmm.
Contenders Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss. Midland was Florida, LSU, South Carolina, and A&M. Dogwater was Oklahoma, Auburn, Vandy, Mizzou, Kentucky, and Arkansas, and then just plain awful Mississippi State. How would you rearrange your tiers there?
If I was going to move some folks around, obviously I'd move Texas down. I think Georgia made it to the SEC championship, so I think they stay. Bama. Bama, Bama's obviously going to be in that. I mean, it just depended on the week. We didn't know, so I'm going to leave them right where they are. Tennessee, I hate to do this. I'm going to move Tennessee down to Midland. This season was rough. It wasn't the greatest. There were a lot of opportunities that slipped through the Vols' fingers, so they're going to go down to Midland. Ole Miss, I feel like, is probably in that border between contender and favorite going into the end of the season. Going into next season, we don't know what that's going to look like yet. Florida, Dogwater. LSU, Midland. Carolina, Midland. A&M, they were in the mix. Still upper tier Midland. I mean, they had a pretty good season. Um, Oklahoma move up to Midland. Auburn stay at Dogwater. Vanderbilt would move up to that upper echelon of Midland because Vanderbilt had a chance to get in the CFP, and it's still bullcrap they didn't get in, but we're not going to start talking about that again. Missouri, Dogwater. Kentucky, I'm going to drop Kentucky to just plain awful. I'm also going to drop Arkansas down there too, and Mississippi State can say where they are as well. So that's kind of where it would round out for me.
So I let's revisit my tier here. So I had favorites: Texas, Georgia, Alabama. Contender was LSU and A&M. Midland, Oklahoma, Florida, Missouri, Tennessee, Vandy, South Carolina, Ole Miss. Dogwater, Auburn, Arkansas, Kentucky, and then just plain awful is Mississippi State. So I'd have to move probably both Texas and Alabama uh, down to the contender. Just one down to contender. I'd keep Georgia up there. I'd move Ole Miss all the way from Midland to favorites, just based on how they finished, obviously. I think most of those others are going to remain in Midland. Vandy, I probably have to move up to contender. Just the way that
They
they,
made some noise.
yeah, they did. They were right there on the edge of the CFP. Um, Auburn, I don't know. They showed some promise. I'd probably still leave them at Dogwater. Kentucky, Arkansas, probably Dogwater too. I don't know. I would probably leave nobody and just plain awful. I would move Mississippi State up to Dogwater as well because I feel like they weren't
Yeah, I think
terrible.
I
They
think
won
Like
more than
we,
I thought they would.
yeah,
you got a point there, Wes. I think if you go top to bottom in the conference, I don't think anybody was just plain awful. Kentucky might be flirting with that,
they were closer.
but
They
they're
were.
they're
Got
a
their
little
coach
bit closer.
fired.
But I mean, everybody else was right in the mix. I'm kind of in the mix, but there's still decent football teams, except for a couple of slight issues. Looking
You raise
against
a good
Carolina.
point because if you do poorly enough at Kentucky for them to fire you, then you know that you've done something not great. So yeah, if any team would go in just plain awful, probably them. So, Jesse, let's look at your tiers. You did your alternatively named tiers with Slay at the top,
Jesse's always got to be different.
I just
with
forgot what they were.
Alabama, Georgia, and Texas in the Slay category. Next, we had the Let Them Cook category was Ole Miss and Tennessee. Mid was Florida, South Carolina, Oklahoma, LSU, A&M, Mizzou, and then Sigma is Auburn, Arkansas, and Vandy, and then Delulu, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. How would you adjust those?
I'm gonna say I don't know that anybody slayed. I
Ooh,
I really don't feel like
yeah,
anyone slayed.
yeah.
I am not convinced on anyone. So everybody in the slay category, Alabama, Georgia, and Texas, we got to move. Everybody's moving. I'm gonna put Georgia in let them cook and leave Ole Miss in let them cook. I'm moving Alabama and Texas to mid.
Ooh.
I because they were so hot and cold, I
Mm.
can't say like let them cook. Yes, Alabama made it to the playoffs, but like, not great. Wasn't fun to watch. So I'm gonna put them at
I
mid.
enjoyed myself.
Got someone did. I'm gonna move Tennessee down to mid as well. I'm going to maybe move OU up to let them cook. I am gonna leave A&M in mid and LSU in mid. I'm moving Florida down to Sigma, Carolina down to Sigma, Mizzou down to Sigma. I'll leave Auburn at Sigma. I'll move Vandy up to upper mid, almost let them cook, but upper mid. And I'm going to move Mississippi State up to Sigma, and I'm leaving Kentucky and Delulu. Sorry, Wildcats.
Hey,
No, that's probably
It
fair.
wasn't for you.
it's basketball season now. They don't care.
Basketball
They're
season.
fine.
It wasn't for you.
Yeah.
But I truly don't think anybody in the SEC at the end of it, once we saw everything,
Mm-mm.
was just stellar.
That's fair. I mean, you had Ole Miss made it further than everybody else, but ultimately didn't get the big prize. So,
Yeah.
all right, so that does it for the tiers revisited. Obviously, we don't have time to discuss every single team and the look ahead for next year, but expectations for our favorite teams. Jesse, do you mind if we start with you on that one for your expectations for Alabama?
My expectations for Alabama are sus. I I have accepted the fact that we are not the Alabama of my undergrad. And that's okay because everybody else is not the school of a couple years ago either. And while that is painful to say, I have no idea what is going to happen from now until August because a lot can happen. Transfers can happen. We've obviously seen coaching things happen as the NFL fires coaches, coaches start to come to college. It's just too much to give an accurate expectation for next season. I hope we're competitive. I hope we get some of the coaching issues solved. I hope that we are able to find a leader on the team that the guys can rally around. And I would just be happy if Alabama found and stuck with an identity and was consistent. If they're consistently bad, fine. I know what to expect. That's fine. If they're consistently great, amazing. But the up and down, not knowing what team is going to play each week, that's the frustrating part because you see flashes in the pan and you're like, why don't you do that again? And it's just infuriating. So I don't know that I expect consistency, but I am hopeful for consistency.
Yeah, Matt, your expectations for Tennessee. What's the deal with Aguilar? Is he going to be back? I know he's put in a case to have another year.
There was a judgment actually today about a restraining order against the NCAA. I don't know how that works, but
it's the same thing that Betty Aku at Alabama for basketball has successfully done. He just left.
Oh, is that the G League fella that they're chanting back to the G League with him?
Yeah, he has a restraining order against the NCAA as well.
That's some craziness, by the way. You signed a professional contract and you're back in playing college basketball. That's a different podcast. As far as Aguilar goes, it's my understanding because of that ruling. Right now, they're kind of in limbo. I would imagine the NCAA probably is not going to let that fly. They'll probably find some way to make it to where he's done ski. Though I don't know. I've seen several things online about, well, this is a good thing that he's got this. This is a bad thing because we're worried about what this will do with our other quarterbacks that are in the mix. I don't know. If Joey A comes back for another year, I'm not going to say boo. Because I feel like with another year under his belt, especially if they can kind of get the offense kind of clicking again like they did, I trust Josh Heupel to do what he needs to do as far as offense goes. The big question mark going forward, though, I think, is that defense. You got a new coordinator coming in. Obviously, the transfer portal stuff over the last couple of weeks has been not great for Tennessee. There's been a lot of dissatisfaction with the signings that we had. There were a couple of big ones in there, but there's also been a lot of online chatter. Take that with a grain of salt. There's been a lot of online chatter about people saying, well, we should have got this person, we should have got that person. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's just going to turn out to what's going to be the impact of this new D coordinator. If he comes in and you see a completely revamped D-line, or sorry, not D-line. D-line played okay last year. But if you see a better secondary linebacker core play next season, Tennessee could be pretty good. Will I think we see that in year one? I don't think so. I think you're probably going to get that in year two, maybe year three with that D coordinator. I've heard that this guy takes a couple of cycles to kind of get everybody in line and get everybody in the playbook. So as far as expectations go, I think I'm with Jesse on this. I just want him to be consistent. As long as we're competitive, I'm fine. Obviously, I want to win games and I want to win the big ones, and I would love to play for a national championship. But I understand that, especially in the modern NIL setting, that's not exactly easy to do. So it is what it is. We'll just enjoy the Saturdays when we get them and hope for the best.
Yeah, no, I get it. In terms of how I think Georgia will do, first things in terms of coaching, obviously that is appears to be consistent and will remain consistent. Bobo's still going to be OC, Schumann's still going to be the DC, for better or for worse, whatever. But there will be consistency there. Obviously, Gunnar Stockton is coming back, so there will be consistency at the quarterback position. Was extremely pleased with his play this year. Just a completely selfless distributor of the ball. Seems to get the ball in everybody's hands, kind of like a point guard for in terms of how he spreads the ball around to different receivers. Let's see. They're going to have to figure out how to replace Zachariah Branch, who is a huge playmaker and on the offensive side, and CJ Allen on the defensive side. Obviously, we've got recruits coming in, transfer portal guys coming in. I think that there will be talent there to kind of shore that up, but those areas will be a concern. We've lost a few other key players like Oscar Delp, but we still have Lawson Lucky at the tight end position there, so I think that should be fine. I hate to sound like a broken record and like what you guys said, but I'm really just hoping for consistency. But I think that all the things that I've just said kind of point to that, and that's exactly kind of what Kirby's wanting, is to kind of keep consistency. Now, the only thing that was an issue, obviously, was Georgia saw their ceiling last year when they played Ole Miss specifically. Now, I don't know if that reflects on stuff that they need to change per se, because that's a really specific instance that I'm talking about there. And Trinidad Chambliss is just a freak of an athlete that it's really hard to prepare against him. They had a full, game against him and still weren't able to figure out how to game plan for him. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm not really worried. I think Georgia will be up there. It's just a matter of the big game situations. How are we going to game plan? How are we going to coach the guys up? But yeah, I'm not necessarily worried. I just want them to be competitive and hopefully be in the end when it counts. So that's all I've got for Georgia. Now, I am interested to see what you guys think about this one. So, what is the most intriguing story to you going into next season? You could, pick a story from anywhere around the conference, but what do you think? Matt, let's start with you this time. What is your most intriguing story moving forward?
I think all three of us, plus everybody that's out there in college football lands, all intrigued by the same thing. What is year one of the Lane Kiffin, era at LSU going to look like? Like that's I think that's the big thing that everybody's looking forward to. I say looking forward. I don't. Is anybody really looking forward to it? That everybody's kind of
Curious
looking
to
at and
see how
going,
it'll pan out.
yeah,
Might be a better way to
yeah.
say it.
Like I just in my head, we know what Lane has looked like. Lane has won when he's come into places. He turned Florida Atlantic into a pretty competitive program. He turned Ole Miss around pretty quick. The question is what is it going to look like in LSU? And that's the real trick. And I think that the offseason that we've gotten so far, we were expecting a lot of transfer kids to move to LSU. You were supposed to get a lot of things. And I don't think that really panned out the way that a lot of LSU folks were hoping. They did pick up some folks, but they were expecting this, embarrassment of riches, and it never. I don't think it really fully materialized in the
Right.
during the transfer window. So that's the thing I'm kind of keeping an eye out for, is what is it going to look like with Lane Kiffin at the helm in Baton Rouge? Is that program going to be able to rebound pretty quick? It's really going to just come down to and the other question is, what about off-field antics? Because, Lane Kiffin comes with baggage, and he comes with lots of it. And what is that going to look like, in the state of Louisiana? So I think that's the thing I'm most intrigued by. I'm also curious to see the other thing, if I can have a kind of a B to my 1A, is how does Ole Miss respond going into next season as well? Dad went to go get milk and never came back, and it's just what's that going to look like for the rest of the kids back at the house? They're going to have to. They did a great job in the postseason of banding together and making a story out of it. But what is that going to look like next season when you have the full gauntlet of an SEC season plus the out of conference stuff they're going to play? It's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen. The SEC West is kind of, and I know we don't have East and West anymore, but the SEC, those Western teams in the SEC are definitely ones to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, for sure. Jesse, what story most intrigues you?
I'm going to let you go first because I have a list of the wildest things that have happened across college football this season, and I just want to read all of them. because
Yeah.
I think it gives a good picture of how weird things got.
Oh, it was. Listen,
It got weird.
we've been off the rails for a while, kids. It's
Yeah,
been
we can't see
the
the rails
last
anymore.
and that's there's a lot flying around. Go ahead, Wes.
Um, I think, I mean, low hanging fruit is Lane Kiffin, obviously. I'll talk about that one in a second, but before I get to that, I'm really interested to see how John Summerall works out at Florida.
Yeah,
Because Florida has just been through them. You know, we've talked about it on the show, how many coaches they've been through, and a lot of them they've come in, shown promise, or been promising coaches in past teams, only to not really work out in Gainesville. So he seems super stoked to be there, and we'll see how that works out as we get into the thick of the season. But in terms of Lane Kiffin, what intrigues me the most, I think he'll do well. I mean, I think that's kind of a given. We've seen him do well everywhere, but also everywhere that Lane has also been his own worst enemy.
mhm.
No matter where I mean, you could argue that he settled down a little bit at Ole Miss, but I think Ole Miss was very conducive for his style. By
I think
settled
he
down,
appeared to settle down.
right. And what I mean by that is not that he himself is like some tame guy now. I'm just saying his style worked there. It wasn't like it was abrasive to the people around, and because they basically let him do whatever he wanted.
And they
So
embraced it. They were fine with it because he was winning.
yeah.
Mhm.
So what I'm curious about is number one, will that follow him into this high profile, biggest job that he's had in college, so far. And especially when it comes to expectations too, because now he's kind of built that name too. He's had big jobs before in the past, but his name wasn't what it is now. So the expectations are there. And then is he going to kind of self-sabotage? How are the fans going to respond to his trolling when they lose? Because the fans are great with the trolling when they're winning. But if they
Mm.
start to lose, how tolerant are they going to be of his kind of antics? So that's what I'm most curious about. So I guess my A story would be John Summerall at Florida, and then B would be Lane Kiffin, of course. Jesse,
Wes, you can tack, not tax. That's in April. You can tack Alex Golish at Auburn on that as
yeah,
well, because that's another thing where it's my own personal belief, and I know I have a soft spot for Alex Golish because he was the OC at Tennessee when we had all that success a couple years ago. I think he might be able to get Auburn turned around, but we'll see.
we'll see. All right, Jesse, give us your best conspiracy stories with like the yarn on
It's
the
it's
board
the
and
thing is, they're not even conspiracies. These are just weird things that happen that, like, as I was reading some of these, I was like, oh God, I forgot about that. Because we've had so much happen that
Yeah.
you just kind of forget week to week. And this is not going to be just SEC. This is across college football because I think we just need to see it in summary. So let's remember way back.
Diddle-doo, diddle-doo, diddle-doo,
Let's go
diddle-doo.
back. Everybody remember Kansas State? You remember that? You remember the first game? Remember Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson's brother and father got into a fist fight in Dublin, Ireland in week 0 with each other?
I had
With
forgotten
each
about
other,
that.
following their loss to Iowa State. That kicked us off, right? Internationally known. The two favorites for the Heisman Trophy and the two, that ended up being the top two finalists. Obviously, we know Fernando Mendoza won it, but the top two were a quarterback who was ranked number 140 at his position in the 247 sports composite in the class of 2022, and a quarterback who was unranked coming out of high school and who is in his sixth, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 season of college football at his third school. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza, and shockingly, only 5'9" Diego Pavia. So, college game day legend. We remember Lee Corso finally retired, but he went a perfect 6-0 with his final game picks. So he finally, put the mascot head down. That was a big thing this season. Penn State, the number 2 and number 4 teams in the preseason AP poll, which we know doesn't really matter, but whatever. AP poll into the regular season, unranked. That was Penn State and Clemson. Oh, yeah. Penn State fired James Franklin just after we started the season because it got bad. Woof. Duke lost 5 regular season games, and yet they played in the ACC title game. Don't worry, we'll come back to that.
They did.
The Sun Belt champion headed to the CFP. The Dukes of James Madison, in their 4th year in the FBS, can thank the Duke Blue Devils for their CFP attempt. We already know about Lane Kiffin and all of the hoopla around him. Notre Dame, which went 10-2 in the regular season, declined a bowl berth after being left out of the CFP. Texas is the first preseason number 1 team with 3+ regular season losses since USC went 7-6 in 2012. Chair of the CFP selection committee was replaced after 2 weeks. A Texas State trooper working the Texas A&M South Carolina game.
Oh gosh.
Almost fought a South Carolina wide receiver, Nick Harbor, and he was removed from the game and his assignment, which is wildly unprofessional.
Your job is to literally keep the players safe.
It's to de-escalate.
This was a bad look.
She escalated.
It was a really bad look.
Quickly, I might add. There are cameras everywhere, sir. Yes. And you have a body cam.
Right.
You hate to see it. The only more bizarre thing that happened at that game against South Carolina and Texas A&M is South Carolina, with the record of 3-6 and the losers of 4 straight games, jumped out to a 30-3 halftime lead over the undefeated Aggies. And yet they lost the game 31-30 in what was the biggest comeback in Texas A&M history.
Yeah.
Yep. Obviously,
And one of the best catches in an end zone by a wide receiver I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
In that A&M game.
Absolutely. Let's see what else we've got here. Louisiana's governor swore that LSU's next coach would not get a huge buyout. LSU's next coach got an even larger buyout. So that was fun. The whole Brian Kelly thing. That's also really, really fun. The nation's best linebacker, yes, I said linebacker, began his career as a quarterback at Virginia. That would be Texas Tech's Jacob Rodriguez, who just won this past season the Nagurski Trophy, awarded to the best defensive player in college football. Wow. That's just strange to me. Let's see. We had Diego Pavia, who was making bets with Theo Vaughn about going on a date with his mom.
And his post Heisman ceremony antics at the nightclub.
Oh my God, can we talk about it?
What are you doing, Diego?
Oh.
You had an opportunity.
Ooh, it's not a good look.
It's giving Johnny Manziel, and I don't care for it.
It's giving diet Johnny Manziel. It's gross.
Timu Johnny Manziel.
Timu Johnny Manziel. It's gross. Let's see. Oh, Lane Kiffin and a podcaster got into a public argument, which is no surprise, after the podcaster called him a hoe.
Can't turn a hoe into a housewife.
If the shoe fits, Lane. If the shoe fits.
We're not done yet, friends.
Heaux.
We're not even done. Bill Belichick, who, yes, coaches in college football, went viral for attending an adult cheerleading competition to support his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. And yes, it's a co-ed adult cheerleading competition that no one gets paid for.
The ex-girlfriend, I think they broke up. I think I saw that the other day.
We thought they broke up, but then I saw some stuff that saying she was throwing a party for him during enshrinement weekend at the same time. I don't know. Things are messy.
Another thing, he also missed out on the first ballot of the Hall of Fame. The guy who's won more Super Bowls than anybody. They said, nah, you're going to have to wait a couple ballots, Bill.
Because nobody in the hall wants Jordan Hudson at enshrinement weekend. Nobody.
That's exactly what it is.
Well,
Jesse hit that right on the head.
I, for one, hope that they patch things up, because if there's anything that relationship has shown us, is that love knows no bounds.
Yeah. Also, just for a fun exploration, if you get bored this weekend, look up how much money colleges spend on balloons. Just look that up. Because she kept doing some balloon arches at his press conferences. And Texas, you spend a lot of money on balloons.
They got lots of money. They got that old money. They're fine.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Barstool Sports' Michigan superfan Dave Portnoy accused Ohio State of banning him from the Ohio Stadium in week 1, where he was supposed to make his debut on Fox's Big Noon Kickoff, except that didn't actually happen.
What a shame.
I know.
I'm disappointed.
The number 1 recruiting class, according to 247 Sports Composite, landed at a non-SEC school for the first time since 2008. And both of the top 2 classes were at a former Pac-12 school, USC and Oregon. 3 of the 4 Power 4 champions, Indiana, Texas Tech, and Duke, hadn't won a conference title in more than 30 years. One of those conference champions had to ban the tradition of tossing tortillas at kickoffs of home games because there was a change in the Big 12 policy, which stiffened the penalty for fines for throwing objects onto the field. Also, somehow Crumble Cookie entered into college football because Crumble Cookies, yes, BYU, their coach was getting courted, and the founder of Crumble Cookies is a BYU alum and threw some money at BYU so that he could stay. And then if you thought that was done, no, Crumble Cookies then sent cookies to the office of Virginia Tech, which, you know, they were hoping to get BYU's coach to be like, sorry, here's some cookies, just as a really petty thing. And to top it all off, as if that wasn't enough weirdness, Michigan, Sharon Moore had felony charges.
Oh, gosh.
And now, you know, they're doing an internal investigation. That was the 2025 college football season.
Yeah, and if you needed anything else to just prove that this season was officially off the rails, that should do it for you.
I saw a online. You know how you go into certain corners of the internet and there's like people presenting all this evidence about things that they really believe. So there was one section of the internet. I think I saw it on Reddit, but basically the guy said we all died in 2020 with COVID. Everybody died, and this is hell. I can't. He's not wrong.
It definitely seems
something is wrong with the system. Something is wrong with the system. The simulation has come off the rails.
Yeah, I mean, college football is unrecognizable from how it used to be. So, yeah, I agree. I do want to, before we hit the end of the show, I would like to address, it looks like they've talked about how the 12-team playoff bracket is going to work for the 2026-27 season. And I just looked this up. So
speaking of weird.
But this is on the NCAA's website, so it looks to be pretty official. So the 12-team college playoff field will field each of the conference champions from the ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and SEC, also known as Power 4. They will receive an automatic bid regardless of their final ranking. The highest ranked team from one of the group of 6 conferences, American, USA, MAC, Mountain West, Pac-12, or Sun Belt, regardless of whether it's a conference champion or not, will also get an automatic bid. Did we learn nothing from what happened this past season?
Yeah.
That is just nuts to me that we're going to continue that moving forward. Let's see.
Doubling down.
Previously, in the first 2 years of the 12-team format, the 5 highest-ranked conference champions, regardless of conference, receive automatic bids. Notre Dame can also receive an automatic bid in 2026 if it ranks among the top 12 teams, which you think would be self-explanatory, but I guess they're saying they're locked in. If they finish in the top 12, I guess nobody can boot them out for finishing like a conference champion that gets an
Why are we
automatic bid or something.
rewarding bad behavior?
Yeah, I let
Why?
everybody just be.
Because it's Notre freaking Dame. They get a pass. I don't know why. It's because they won like 2 national championships back when, Warren Harding was president. Like, it doesn't make any.
When a child throws a fit, you do not give them what they ask for. You send them to their room.
Yeah.
What would sending Notre Dame to their room look like? Making them join a conference?
Yes.
Probably, yeah. So, yeah. And then the highest ranked teams round out the 12-team format. So your automatic bids are the 4 conference champions of the Power Four. You have highest ranked team from one of the group of 6 conferences, and then Notre Dame if they finished in the top 12.
Cool.
Yeah. I
1 versus 12, 2 versus 11, 3 versus. Why are we making this more complicated than it needs to be? I don't understand this Byzantine angle of making things extra complex. Like, there are things in the U.S. Constitution that are more simplistic than what we've got going on with the CFP. Why are we making this crap complicated?
Yeah, I don't know. Especially after we've demonstrated. I mean, this past season is like the perfect example of the automatic bids for those group of 6 conference teams. I mean, they're just going to get run out of town. I don't like it. And they don't even have to be a conference champion. It says the highest ranked team from the group of 6 conferences. You can just, not
So
even
you
when
can
you're
be number 23 and still find a way to get into the CFP.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. That's I rebuke it. I rebuke it in the name of college football.
Yeah, that has to be changed. This season showcased that. I don't know why we're not doing anything about it. But anyways,
who's making these decisions? That's my question. I want a name, and I want to know what their mailing address is.
Right.
I want to send them a strongly worded a letter about how they need to pull their head out of their posterior.
The first round of the playoffs is December the 18th and 19th. Then you got quarterfinals, the December the 30th and January the 1st. Semifinals, January the 15th or 14th and 15th. And then Las Vegas is where the national championship will be played on January the 25th.
That's not a terrible idea for players.
Stop playing national championship games in NFL stadiums. We've got to get away from this. I don't understand. Like, it's so simple. It's so easy. You play the games at home for the home teams, and then the national championship rotates between the Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl. Just rotate it. Why are we making it more complicated?
It's going to be a late game because it's going to be in Pacific time, and who wants to start betting now over under on how many DUIs, disorderly conducts, assault, and battery charges happen the night after?
Even if they don't want to go hardcore to only college stadiums, maybe let it kind of creep up a little bit. We already have the first round played at home stadiums. Let's do the quarterfinals. Let the quarterfinals also be, because my biggest beef with it is not necessarily that we're playing in NFL stadiums, although I have a separate gripe with that, but it's the fact that it's brutal for these fans to have to travel all of this, to all these games, because you potentially have, if you're in the first round, you could be at home, maybe, or you might be at another team stadium, so you have to travel for that. You have the quarterfinals that are at the season coming up. You've got the Fiesta Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl, and Peach Bowls are the quarterfinals. So you got to travel to those. Semifinals, Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. You got to travel to those. So conceivably, you're either going to be forking out a lot of money if your team makes it to the national championship, or you're going to have to pick and choose the games that you're going to go to because you simply can't afford
to go. Like, you're a current college student, you can't go see your team play. I mean, when Alabama played a natty in Miami, I couldn't afford to go do that. I mean, I was a college kid.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's totally real life example. So I would love to see that happen. I just don't know if they are gonna do that. So, and as long as they're gonna, continue to make money, I suppose that they don't necessarily care. But let's not end on a negative note. Let's what's something positive we can end with? I don't know. Um, really curious to see about each of these coaches, because do you all realize the amount of turnover that we had in the SEC in terms of coaches?
Turnover before the season was over.
We listed it, a couple of them, but Alex Golesh at Auburn, Ryan Silverfield at Arkansas, John Summerall at Florida, Lane Kiffin LSU, Pete Golding at Ole Miss, of course, and then Kentucky and Will Stein. So a lot of
Coach Carousel had rockets on it this year, guys.
a lot of, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Tilt-a-whirl. It was not the carousel. It was not slow.
16 teams in the SEC, 6 of them have new head coaches. That's a lot.
And
That's
Kirby
a big
Smart's
percentage.
the dean now, isn't he? With Stoops getting the boot.
Yeah, I guess so. The longest tenured. Yeah, I believe so. So,
And that he's been at Georgia for what? 9 years?
it's 9 or 10. It might be closer to 10 now. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
So,
Craziness.
anyways, all right. Well, I think that does it for this, our season finale, our season 9 finale. So we appreciate everyone taking the time to give us a listen. If you'd like to contact us, email us at pigskinsandpeasantry@gmail.com. We are at Pigskins and Peasantry on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We're at PPSEC Podcast on X.
Twitter.
And we're available for download on all those streaming platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn Radio, all that stuff. So if you guys, if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and review. 5 stars, we'd love that. Get greater visibility and have greater opportunities to have wonderful conversations with people like yourselves. So yeah, it's going to be a long off season, but definitely looking forward to seeing all the new changes and how things are going to go in the new season. So until then, this is Wes. Go Dogs.
Watch the Olympics, y'all. That's something. Roll Tide.
World Cup's this summer. That'll be fun. Also, thoughts and prayers for Lou Holtz. He's just entered hospice, so his family's going to need some help. So, thoughts and prayers for them. Go Vols!